Good evening, everyone. Good evening, President Carver, members of the Governing Board, Superintendent Finch, Mrs. Taylor, district staff, and our room full of special guests. While the school year has officially wrapped up for our schools, there are still accolades to celebrate across all areas of DVUSD. We begin tonight with a team that has truly cemented a legacy of domination in their sport. I do regret not wearing the 5-Pete shirt today, so sorry. 5 years, 5 championships, 1 unforgettable legacy. This is what head coach Jamie Sparts had to say about another incredible season in the sand. Sandra Day O'Connor's beach volleyball team clinched a 5-peat state championship title with a hard-fought 3-1 victory over Xavier. Every set, a battle, every moment earned. In a highly anticipated rematch, the Eagles showed heart, discipline, and a championship mindset, staying focused on the goal from start to finish. After facing adversity in the early season with injuries, OC suffered a tough 2-3 loss to Xavier, their first loss in 4 years and more than 55 matches. Our number 1 pair, Kaylee Woodruff, battled through a broken wrist before tryouts, working relentlessly to return for the second half of our season. Our number 2 pair, Kaya Kearney, tore her ACL, and Imani Huesca, our 2-year starting sophomore, underwent knee surgery in the fall and wasn't even sure that she would be back in time for the season, but worked relentlessly to make sure she returned. Despite this and their continued adversity, this team responded the only way championships do, by digging deep, trusting the process, and staying committed to the ultimate goal. This season also marks the 6th straight championship match appearance in 7 Desert Valley region titles for the program. This state title is more than a win. It reflects countless hours of preparation, the trust between teammates, and the leadership from our coaches and staff. Players stepped up into key moments, filled big shoes, and made tremendous impacts throughout the season. It's all about the culture we've built, the adversity we faced, and what this team has overcome every hurdle together. I am so proud of this team, their journey, and everyone who helped build something truly special. This season will forever be part of the OC Beach history, especially with our largest senior class of 11 players graduating this year, who helped shape the culture and support every level of this program. We also celebrate 2 incredible athletes who helped lead the way. Delaney Singleton, a University of Hawaii signee and the program's first 4-year starter, earned all 4-year titles during her career in the program. Alongside her was Kaylee Woodruff, a Grand Canyon University signee, 3-time state championship winner, and a DVUSD Female Athlete of the Year this year. Together, as our number 1 pair, they finished 3rd in state pairs this season. Winning their 5-peat state championship will forever be a season to remember and a legacy that will live on in OC history. We are OC proud. Congratulations to the Division I 5-time state championship in girls beach volleyball, Sandra Day O'Connor High School. The next state champion also hails from Sandra Day O'Connor High School and, as a sophomore, is already making a name for himself as a track star. Coach Eric Bolles had this to say about the record-breaking season he just had. Brecken Bellows not only earned himself a state runner-up title in the Division I 800-meter event with a time of 1 minute and 54 seconds and 0.91% of a second, he captured the Open State Championship in the 800-meter with a remarkable time of 1 minute 51.91 seconds, becoming the first Open State champion in school history. His performance didn't just break school records, it shattered it. And his time currently ranks Brecken the third in the nation as sophomore athletes. Brecken has impacted our program and extends beyond the track. He is a leader within his event group, constantly pushing and encouraging everyone around him to improve. In the classroom, he excels as an AP student, demonstrating the same discipline and commitment that makes him a successful competitor. Brecken is more than an 800-meter state champion. He is truly a champion in life. Congratulations to the 800-meter D1 runner-up and Open State champion, Brecken Bellows. The Deer Valley Skyhawks also found themselves on the podium for a series of events representing their program this season. Junior Daquan Teague claimed the Division III 800-meter state runner-up this season. Coach Kevin Riegel had this to say about Daquan's season and his reputation on the track. Daquan's nickname is The Champ for a reason. He runs every race with heart. His work ethic is second to none, and the team looks up to him. Congratulations on the 800-meter Division III state runner-up, Daquan Teague. Next for the Skyhawks is a hurdler racing toward his chance at the podium. Junior Ryan Patterson Lopez, who earned a D3 state championship runner-up finish in the 300-meter hurdles this season. Coach Riegel had this to say about Ryan as an athlete on the team. Ryan is a great competitor who isn't afraid of the hard work. He's a leader on the team and one of the top track and field athletes in the state. Congratulations to the D3 300-meter hurdle state runner-up, Ryan Patterson Lopez. We're going to see two very familiar faces back to the dais here in this next award. If it wasn't enough for the two aforementioned runners who just earned awards, they teamed up and added a few more to their squad for the next accolade of the season. The 4x400 Deer Valley High School team of Daquan Teague, Maldini Hermes, Ryan Patterson Lopez, and Akai Fletcher, along with their coach, knew everything had to fall into place perfectly for the quad to top the podium this season. After finishing third place in the prelim race, the team shaved off an impressive 5 seconds of their prelim time to overtake the previous first and second place teams. Something special needed to happen for this team to win. Daquan would need to run over a second faster than he's ever ran before. Maldini would have to run his best race of the season. Ryan would have to pass 4 teams, and Okai would have to hawk down the anchor leg and probably physically run faster than he ever had before. It happened, and they won. Congratulations to the 4x400 meter Division III Boys State Championship team, Deer Valley High School. Our next Deer Valley High School athlete is already known on the basketball court, and now, with just 1 season of track under his belt, has claimed a state runner-up title there as well. Coach Riegel had this to say about Elias Riley's effort in just his first track season. Elias has a great attitude and is a great athlete. Being a state runner-up in the high jump with just 1 season of training is nothing less than amazing. Elias had this reflection on his first and only track season. To win to me means to succeed. I haven't always been a winner, and as a multi-sport athlete, it has been a journey involving everything from early morning workouts to late night film studies. It has been a blessing to compete at this level and in my first year of track. Securing second place in the state competition is an accomplishment I am deeply proud of, and this entire experience has been invaluable to my growth as an athlete. I want to thank all of my coaches for the opportunity and my teammates for welcoming me. Congratulations, D3 state runner-up in high jump, Elias Riley. Our next Skyhawk of the night couldn't make it tonight, but he did place in not 1, but 2 events this season, so we wanted to give him his fair moment as well. Julius Wald earned both a shot put and a discus throw state runner-up championship this season. His coach, CJ Morgan, had this to say about his time as a Skyhawk track athlete. Julius is a great example of what a coach wants to see in his athletes. Over 3 years of being his coach, he has consistently shown up and worked hard. He always had a great attitude, and his hard work always paid off. Congratulations to the D3 state runner-up in discus and shot put, Julius Wald. And finally, for our Skyhawks, it's not just the boys on the track team competing at a championship caliber. Senior Tegan Thiel had this reaction to ending her senior year as a state runner-up in the D3 400-meter dash. Standing on the podium from an individual event at state is something that I've wanted to achieve since freshman year, and to be the state runner-up and break the school record in one race was truly a dream come true. I prepared by hydrating well the whole week leading up to state, getting good sleep, and eating well, along with all of the effort and practice and during the entire season. Also, listening to my pre-race playlist and saying a lot of prayers. Coach Riegel had this to say about Tegan's season. Tegan had a great season. She saved her best race and school record for finals at the D3 state meet where it mattered the most. She was a fierce competitor all season. Congratulations to the D3 400-meter dash state runner-up, Tegan Thiel. Moving on from the Skyhawks to the Mountain Lions of Mountain Ridge, we start up with the girls of the team this time. Senior Cameron Mayu capped off an impressive athletic career with the Mountain Lions by claiming the Division I state championship in triple jump with a distance of 37 feet and 5 inches, nearly a foot more than the runner-up behind her. She had this reaction to her big win this season. As a senior getting ready for college, I spent this past season stressing about leaving behind a legacy. I knew I was going into the season with my goals that would be to break the school record and to take a gold in state. And being able to do both that was euphoric. More than anything, I am proud about the work that I put in to accomplish my goals. Going into every big meet, I would prepare by reading Psalm 23. Looking forward, I know I will succeed in college and sports and academics because I have my family and friends to support me and myself to hold myself accountable. Congratulations to the Division I state triple jump champion, Cameron Mayu. Next, we move on to a mountain lion who put on a show both at the track, state, divisional, and open state meetings this season. After claiming the state championship in both the 100-meter and 300-meter Division I at the division state meet, Sunil went on to place as the open state runner-up and championship in his respective events. His time of 37.24 seconds in the 300 hurdles final was a personal best and almost a full second faster than fellow DVUSD runner, also in the audience tonight, Ryan Patterson Lopez from Deer Valley. He was also the runner-up in the 110 hurdles, only 0.32 seconds behind this year's winner at the Open. Sunil had this reflection on his high school track career. To win both hurdles at the state has been a goal of mine since freshman year. My sophomore year, I watched both state records fall to Vance Nelson, pushing me to be the best version of myself. Last year, I was able to come away with the 300 hurdles, and I'm excited to have completed both this year. I hope I can be an inspiration to the younger athletes as the previous athletes who were to me. With this support from my teammates and my coaches, shout out to Coach Murillo and Coach Miller, I will be able to accomplish any of my goals. Congratulations to the Division I state champion in both the 110 and 300 meter hurdles, as well as the open state 100 meter runner-up and open state 300 meter champion. He's won a lot. It's a tongue twister. Congratulations, Sunil Aminovic. fact about both of the athletes that we just recognized, these mountain lions are both hungry for more competition and have their sights set on making future appearances at the Olympics. So watch out for the world's biggest athletic stages as Sanel goes for the track and Cameron wants to be part of the U.S. flag football team at the Olympics. And finally, for the mountain lions, the boys 4x800 meter relay team. This team posted an impressive time of 7 minutes and 48 seconds and 33 hundredths of a second by racing as a team and coming away with the Open State runner-up. Congratulations to the 4x800 team, Mountain Ridge High School. From the track to the tennis courts, we have two Jaguar Boulder Creek High School tennis members who have battled it out for state titles since they were freshmen on the team. I don't believe either are here, but we're going to read about their impressive feats. Following a year of a hiatus from the Boulder Creek tennis team, junior Japney Kaur had her sights set on returning to the state championship as she had her freshman year. After an impressive season posting a 12-2 record, the final match of the season saw a face-off familiar to the Jaguars. Teammates Japney Kaur and Michelle Bullock faced off once again following a freshman year face-off now as juniors. The two battled it out for the state championship title in the Division I division, and this year, junior Japney Kaur walked away with a D1 singles state championship title. She had this reflection on winning. Being able to win in the singles individual state was a big deal for me, and I am so glad that I was able to do it once again for my school. I am truly grateful to my coach Gino, our AD Miss Ladine, and of course all the girls on the team this year. It was a great experience, and I really appreciate all the support. Congratulations to D1 Singles State Championship Tennis Champion, Japney Kaur. I do know that her fellow teammate, Michelle Bullock, couldn't be here tonight because she is enjoying a well-deserved vacation in Spain. So we're going to read about her accomplishment while she is in Spain. While she couldn't be here tonight, she is enjoying her well-earned vacation and is looking forward to making the finals and facing off once again, hopefully against Japney in their senior year. Congratulations to state champion runner-up, Michelle Bullock. Speaking of sportsmanship for the Jags, we have a fellow Boulder Creek team that was recognized for just that in this AIA season. Congratulations to the Boulder Creek boys indoor volleyball team on being selected to receive this year's AIA 6A Boys Volleyball Sportsmanship Award. This award is presented annually to a school that demonstrates the highest level of sportsmanship throughout the season, as recognized by the officiating community. We are proud of our players, coaches, and supporters for representing Boulder Creek with class, respect, and integrity all season long. The team's coaching staff had this to say about the recognition. We are proud of our program and where it's going. This award shows that our boys are willing to represent themselves and the school in a respectful manner. The game of volleyball is so much bigger than wins and losses. The life lessons in both the good and bad times will stay with our players well through adulthood. Congratulations to the 6A AIA Sportsmanship Award recipients, Boulder Creek Men's Volleyball. And finally, for our sports awards tonight, we recognize a school that is often in the conversation when it comes to athletic prowess. Sandra Day O'Connor High School was honored recently by being named the recipient of the AIA Directors Cup, the Arizona Interscholastic Association's highest honor, awarded to a school that best exemplifies the excellence in athletics, academics, leadership, sportsmanship, and the community's involvement. OC's athletic director, Greg Carroll, had this to say about taking home the Directors Cup to the Eagle Nation this year. This recognition reflects the collective effort of our entire school community. It is a direct result of the commitment to character of our student athletes, the leadership and dedication of our coaches, and the continued support from our staff, administration, and families, as well as district leadership. The AIA Directors Cup represents far more than any championship or accomplishment. It reflects the culture that has been built here at O'Connor, one centered on integrity, accountability, relationships, and doing things the right way. While we're proud of this success in our program, we are even more proud of the character of our students displaying in the classrooms, in competition, and throughout the community. Sandra Day O'Connor High School is honored to accept this recognition on behalf of our students, staff, families, and the community, and we are grateful for the governing board and Deer Valley Unified School District for celebrating our achievement with us here tonight. Congratulations to the AIA Directors Cup School, Sandra Day O'Connor High School. Okay. From athletics to academics, we also have students tonight who have claimed impressive feats in the stock market game that proves challenging even for adults. In the spring season of the Arizona Council for Economic Education stock market game, DVUSD had top place finishers in both the middle school and high school categories. Charles and Amir offered tremendous leadership in their OC Business and Finance Club, getting it off the ground and building it to one of the most meaningful clubs on campus. These two understood worldly events and wisely made investment choices due to their understanding of market forecasts and current events. Two fine young men who act in unselfish manners to better their school as a whole. Charles and Amir saw a total equity return of $156,711 on their investments this season, which was $25,000 more than the next closest high school competitor in the game this season. Congratulations to the stock market high school champions, Sandra Day O'Connor High School. They're busy day trading, they couldn't make it today. In the middle school level competition, Paseo Hills is making it something of a tradition to be among the top campuses in the state for their team's savvy investing. Their teacher, Thomas Standring, had this to say about the future investors coming out of Paseo Hills. At Paseo Hills, the stock market game is becoming a tradition, one that can be fun and addictive to our middle school students. The game was a challenging competition in which I, as their teacher, provided a basic how-to and advice in stock trading, buying, selling, shorting, and etc., but the work was left 90% in the hands of our students. Researching companies, evaluating stock progress, and forecasting futures was all done by their students. Given the volatility of the market during the game, almost all of the teams across the region lost money. That was except for Paseo Hills. The seemingly silent traders, while they're shy in class, went on to accomplish their stock market game win was truly incredible. The team made a 16% return instead of a loss on their investments through the game, with a total of $110,623 in equity. We at Paseo Hills are incredibly proud of their achievement and the independence it took for them to win. Congratulations to the ACEE Stock Market Game runner-up, Paseo Hills School. From the stock market to international learning, we move on to Boulder Creek High School's second place winner in this year's national speech competition. Tonight, we're proud to recognize an extraordinary achievement by one of Boulder Creek's students, Ryan Bogensberger, who earned second place in the 2026 National Chinese Speech Contest. This competition is widely regarded as one of the most prestigious Chinese language competitions in the United States. This year, more than 800 students across the country participated, making Ryan's accomplishment even more remarkable. Ryan's success did not happen by chance. Behind this award is the countless hours of dedication and preparation, thousands upon thousands of practice sessions, an impressive depth of understanding of the Chinese language and cultural knowledge, and exceptional composure under pressure. His performance demonstrated not only linguistic excellence, but the confidence, discipline, and perseverance needed to win. BCH has now achieved this outstanding result in the national competition for 4 consecutive years, a milestone that reflects the strength and consistency of our Chinese language program. These accomplishments are made possible through the continued support of our district, the dedication of our teachers, and the encouragement of our families, and most importantly, the hard work of all of our students. At the same time, Ryan's success is also a reflection of the strong foundation built throughout our district's K-12 Mandarin immersion program. The continued support from our elementary and middle school immersion programs has played a vital role in helping students develop advanced language proficiency and genuine appreciation for the Chinese culture. This achievement belongs not only to Ryan, but also to the many educators, families, and district leaders who have been there to support our language learners across the years. Congratulations to Ryan Bogensberger, who had this reflection on winning second place this year. Winning this award has meant a lot to me not because of the award itself, but because of all of the effort and the hard work that it represents. The speech topic was about the bridge in connecting cultures. To me, I think the speech represents not just one contest, but the entirety of my journey learning Mandarin. Prior to the competition, I spent days, maybe even weeks, inside and even outside of school, practicing and fine-tuning my speech. I made sure to put my best effort forward, and slowly I honed in on my speech, practicing both the speech itself and training my overall Mandarin capabilities. Furthermore, I would like to thank my teachers, friends, and family for encouraging me to keep going even when I felt like giving up. To me, Mandarin isn't just about my one award. It's about how far I've come through my Mandarin journey and how many opportunities I have along the way, which I understand includes a upcoming trip in the coming days to China. Congratulations to the National Chinese Speech runner-up, Ryan Bogensberger. And rounding out our accomplishments tonight are 2 Silver Apple winners recognized by Arizona's family. Ann Lippert has taught first grade in the Deer Valley Unified School District for more than 16 years. Colleagues and families who have seen her work at Copper Creek firsthand say her impact extends far beyond the classroom, with former students continuing to invite her to graduations and other major milestones in their lives. Congratulations to Copper Creek teacher and Silver Apple Award recipient Ann Lippert. I don't believe either one is in the audience tonight, but we're going to give them their shout outs that they deserve as well. And representing the final award of this season for Silver Apples is Silver Apple recipient Hillary Villamar from Sonoran Foothills. According to parents at Sonoran Foothills, Miss Villamar is an exceptional teacher who changes the way students see themselves. She shows her students the same dedications, challenging them and believing in them and inspiring their confidence. Miss Villamar's passion and commitment will last far beyond her middle school years that she impacts. As a teacher at Sonoran Foothills, since the school has opened its doors, it's clear she is adored on campus, as when we went to surprise her with Arizona's family, she was cheered on by the entire 7th grade class of Sonoran Foothills students following her Silver Apple surprise. Hillary was celebrated as the final Silver Apple recipient of the school year for Arizona's family and the 3rd DVUSD school teacher this year, marking the most in any district history for the year. Congratulations to Silver Apple teacher Hillary Villamar. And that wraps up a very jam-packed season of awards, and we will see you all next year after the summer concludes. Let me get this recording going.
Regular board meeting, Tuesday, May 26, 2026.
like to call tonight's meeting of the Deer Valley Governing Board to order at 7 p.m. Let the roll call show that all members are present. Dr. Galligan, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. You may be seated. Do I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
And a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'm not getting
It's not up yet. There it goes. Well, you've only got one arm, so it's okay. Got it. Can you shrink it down so that you can find your show voting thing over here? No. Yeah, whenever you don't see it, it's right there. Thank you, Mrs. Taylor. First item on tonight's agenda, item 3A, 2627 Certified Performance Pay. Dr. Smith, do you have any new information for us tonight?
President Carver, there is no new information in the plan. Just that one small change in the presentation we had in the plan where we made the correct calculation for 7.5 hours instead of 10 hours.
Thank you, sir. And I'm sorry I skipped a step. Dr. Pack?
I don't want to overstep, but
Appreciate that.
I move that the governing board approve the 2026-2027 Certified Performance Pay Plan as presented.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Simichek. Any questions for Dr. Smith on this topic? Hearing none. All those in favor?
aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think everybody voted aye. Is there any nays? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 3B, Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board approve the 2026-2027 Certified and Classified Negotiated Tentative Agreements as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bodfeld. Ms. Moffitt, anything new to add to this topic?
President Carver, governing board members, there is no change to what we presented last time, that there is one addition that we shared in the update on Friday, and that's that the classified group felt it would be appropriate, after reviewing the policy recommendations that are coming down the pike, that we would add the same language we'll be recommending in policy, where it just further outlines overtime pay, specifically identifying the week, what our pay week looks like, and how overtime will be calculated.
Thank you, Ms. Moffitt. Any questions on this topic from Ms. Moffitt? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Next item on the agenda, item number 4, Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 4A through 4T, as in Tom.
Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Simichek. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ms. Simichek. I do now. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 5A, Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board approve employee out-of-state travel for professional development per governing board policy GCCE.
Is there a second? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 5B is in Bravo. Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to pre-approve the addenda as presented.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Simichek. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
It passes 4-1, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 5C, Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board accepts the administration's recommendation to approve the attached rates of pay schedule for 2026, 2027.
Thank you, Mr. Bodfield. Ms. Moffitt, anything on this topic?
Nothing specific, well, maybe one thing specifically to point out on this pay schedule, it really doesn't look different than what you have seen in previous years. The one thing added is to be parallel with the tentative agreement, and that is the change for sub-rotation coverage, or what we call class coverage. Remember, we have two different pay structures for that now, one that is for teaching. That rate continues on, and now we have a class coverage rate that is added, and you'll see that on the list.
Thank you, Ms. Moffitt. Any questions for Ms. Moffitt on this topic? Ms. Fisher.
Can you explain the difference in the VIP versus DV versus, what is the VIP? Is that? I know that. What makes that one so much higher?
I don't know if I will do an excellent job articulating this for you, Ms. Fisher, but it is a rate that we have had for a very long time that is for a specific, unique group that qualified for it a long while back. So that's the group of retirees who locked in that rate of pay. Perhaps, Mr. Hurria, do you know how many people we have for that, that qualify for that?
I don't know the number, but it was a negotiated thing back then.
Right. People have grandfathered out of, so there's very few left that qualify for that rate.
How often are they used?
Yeah, that, we would have to find that information out for you to learn how many people actually used it within this last year. Ms. Mock said that she can get that for us.
Okay.
Anything further for Ms. Moffitt?
Just the request to try to find time for teachers, since we can't give them more money at this moment, if we can find more time for them in any way that we can, if not now, next year, but sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pack. And thank you for Ms. Mock for offering to get that information for us. If there's nothing further, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 5D is in Delta. Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board approve performance pay for the Deer Valley Unified School District Superintendent, Dr. Curtis Finch, at 60% of the 10% contract amount allowable.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Simichek. Any discussion? For everybody in the room, there are 5 areas in the goals for the superintendent. For those of you that don't follow it very closely, each one of those goals carries a 20% rated payout on his 10% possible bonus. And just a sidebar, the bonus is mandated in state statute. So 3 of those 5 goals were met. And so that would be 60. That's where the 60 of the 10% comes from. Anything from any other board members? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
I just want to clarify my vote. We put a lot on our teachers, have a lot of expectations, and we expect direct results from them. We expect them to do something and a direct result, and they get performance pay based on something that is directly correlated to their actions. I have to vote nay. I've had a problem with the fact that there is not a single goal that has any substance for the individual, and so I cannot vote to just give money away without an actual something being done.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Next item on the agenda, item 6A, preview the fiscal year 26-27 expenditure budget. Ms. Mock?
President Carver, members of the board, Dr. Finch, and guests. This evening will be the first of what is likely 3 discussions on the fiscal year 27 budget. As a reminder, we've actually been discussing this budget since back in January, February, when we talked about the budget priorities, moving into salary recommendation, employee benefit recommendation, and more. And so this is our first look of what all of those components look like together. Input has included those board reports, District Budget Committee, our Negotiation Solutions team, also the Language Committee from Ms. Moffitt and team. The proposed budget approval provides the budget limit or framework for the adopted budget. We expect for that to be considered on June 9th. We would approve the budget to be advertised and then schedule the budget to be adopted by June 23rd. It must be adopted by July 15th each year. This advanced timeline is 1 meeting advanced compared to what we have done historically in the past. We started it with Mr. Migliorino's impending retirement from the district last year, and it just happens to work really well, ensures that we can get budgets for next year uploaded into the system before, it's kind of live now, but before it actually starts, and it helps us monitor those budgets longer. Note the state forms are the official adopted budget, and the gold book, or actually we've changed it to the budget book, represents our working budget. So there's 2 different documents that we will present when we come back in June. Today we just have the PowerPoint presentation that represents both of those together. As mentioned, here are the budget priorities that the governing board previously received a report on. This came from our fiscal year 26-27 budget priority committee, and through a lot of feedback from the community and staff. The recommended budget priorities were to maintain salary and benefits, to continue to enhance student and school safety, including social and behavioral supports, maintain the student to staff ratio, de-emphasize professional development. I changed the slide, but that's not changed. That was last year. So we will have that updated for June 9th. I'm like, no. We are not de-emphasizing professional development. We are continuing with that and not expecting any budget increases from that. But the rest are relatively true. If I do remember, salary and benefits, competitive salary and benefits for the retention of staff were the #1 recommendation from the 27 committee. And student safety and security, and it did include social and physical security were on there as well. Those are always typically the top 2. This is a new slide for the budget presentation, and this is to help compare or explain the caution that we move forward with the current budget. That orange line there, or slightly red, it depends on which device you're looking at, is the projected ADM, or average daily membership, upon which our budget is built, or the dollar value is established. You can see that in 23, 24, and 26, That blue line, which was our final ADM from the statewide recalc at the end of the year, every year except for basically 25 fell below where we had projected, and 24 actually was far below where we had projected. We are budgeting cautiously on both sides, on the revenue and the expense side, in order to make sure that any of those differentials are not going to cause us to have any mid-year cuts that we've seen in other school districts. We've seen school districts that have needed to enforce RIFs or have had to actually close schools in the middle of the year. And what I have said is we would like to avoid that at absolutely all costs. One of the biggest, you can see the downward trend for both projected and final ADM. We have some of the factors there on the bottom right-hand side. Fewer incoming students, explained by our 12th grade is about 2,488 outgoing students, and kindergarten is 1,704 incoming. As we've seen in the demographer's report, that is due to a couple different things, including lower birth rate, fewer children per family. Deer Valley has the most charter schools per capita in Maricopa County, probably the state. And then we've also lost several students for our ADM through ESAs. Highlights of the proposed budget factors. This is our greatest celebration, which is why it's on top. M&O override has been restored to 15%. The legislature is providing a 2% inflationary increase, which is added to the base support amount. Current year funding provision is included. We're projecting about a 425 student decrease from the prior year 100th day. Our teacher experience index, or TEI, increased from 1.0056 to 1.0097. Not much, but we will take it. A couple months ago, if you looked at our SDER report from ADE, that amount was actually 1.0102, and since we started looking this in March, it actually decreased just slightly. M&O carry forward, it projected to decrease from 10 million to 9 million, and I think that slide was not updated as well. Doing our best work today. But we will see that again on a different slide, and that will be correct. Highlights of the proposed budget also includes our standard staffing allocations. District additional assistance will be fully funded yet again, with about 75% remaining in capital. We will continue to use cash accounts to offset the budget. Last year, we had projected about $8 million in cash accounts that we were using. Those 5 cash accounts were using $6 million. Athletic participation fees and our parking fees are in there as well. But overall, our general budget limit is increasing from $274 million to $285. Now, as far as the expenses, here's what some of those changes look like. Changes that we haven't already discussed, you can see here are staffing changes, decrease of 12.4 FTE certified staff. That is directly related to the decrease in student enrollment. There's been no changes to class sizes. Those will all remain the same. It simply is just that we have those 400 fewer students, and the way that that breaks out from campus to campus is about 12 fewer FTE than we had last year. There overall will be a 7 FTE increase in classified staff. 8.45 of those are behavior techs. Some of that's for specialized student support services programming. Other classified positions based on staffing standards have decreased 3.45. That includes some FTE for crossing guards, and I believe for kitchen and/or custodial. There's a reconciliation factor to include in this budget as well. The dollar values had been included in the budget, but between the fiscal year 26 and the fiscal year 27 budget, we noticed that 2 FTE for the warehouse were not listed on the FTE count. Now, when we pull the dollar values that those FTE are budgeted for the district, they were already included in that. It was just the FTE count that was off. And if you go back a couple of years, it had 7.5. The 8.0 have been in the system for many years. I actually believe those are probably the 2.0 clerks that staff the Science Center. There is an inclusion of returning one contract day for all employees except 9-month classified. And of course, the reason 9-month classified don't have that day returned is because they did not experience the furlough day this fiscal year. And so that'll be 12 and 10-month staff. And that's a cost of about $1.2 million for the district. We've got our 2% salary increase at about $4.2 million. We are holding $300,000 for social workers that are moved from grant funding. That is the school safety grant. We actually thought that this might cost about $800,000. And this is due to the negotiations at the state level between the legislature and ADE over what will be funded as far as the school safety grant. Originally, it was stated that any school who wanted an SRO, those requests would be approved first. And when we were discussing it this morning, we actually have had several of our requests approved, not just our school resource officers or school safety officers, but we have had, I think, a couple of the social workers approved. The reason we're moving them from the grant funding to M&O funding is that they had already been offered a contract for next year before we were informed that the funding might not come through. And because they are behavioral health social workers and not a like a counselor, right? Like a school counselor, we have to move forward with providing them a contract. And so we put a holding place in there for them to make sure that we would be able to keep all of those folks, especially since that social and emotional well-being was one of the top budget priorities from our families. We have about $35,000 in classification requests. This is a process as well, but this is one that this will be the first time that you are hearing it or that we're presenting it in a meeting. This process occurs typically in January. Leaders and supervisors across the district, whether it be managers, directors, will submit a request to their supervisor at the cabinet level and request for reclassification of their area. The supervisor will take a look at that request, determine whether or not it should be moved forward and discussed as a whole. And then we spend several meetings looking at the requests from January through May and determining what to present to you, the governing board. And we had over 20 requests, but very few that we are actually moving forward this year. One of those is reclassifying a transportation supervisor to a manager. The transportation department is just under 200 physical employees right now. They've got 223 FTE for bus drivers. Of course, several of those are unfilled. But their leadership structure is one director and multiple supervisors. And so it becomes very difficult for them to complete certain work through a hierarchy since the supervisors are all at the same level. So reclassifying that individual fits with the level of work that is now placed on that position, but it also will help the department operate in a more efficient manner. Other requests that we moved forward, one is actually from our community ed department, and so you don't see it here because it doesn't cost any M&O dollars, but it's reclassifying 3 positions from accounting clerk 1 to, I can't remember what the title was, but we're presenting moving it from a range 18 to a range 23. Now this is self-funded since it is community education funds, but the work that these individuals are doing is more in line with that of a, not just an accounting clerk, but a registrar. And so moving them on the salary schedule actually puts the line of work and what they do more commensurate with other positions that are funded by M&O. We have a couple recommendations for the EL department. And one of those includes, and Dr. Galligan and Mrs. Moffett can correct me if I get any of these wrong, but we had for the EL department, one of our positions did not have, one of our classified clerk positions did not have the same appointment as the individual they supported. So the individual they support has a 12-month contract, but the classified staff member is currently on a 9-month. And so it just makes sense to have that clerk be here at the same time as the individual they support. So there's a recommendation just to increase that position to 10-month. There is EL support technician to an EL support specialist, moving from a range 20 to a range 24. And that just supports the rapid growth in our immigrant population. And the technicality of that job has changed as well, where the job duties fit more with the specialist role versus a technician. There's a request for our clerks for our speech motor and our psych, hearing and visual impaired to also move to a 10-month contract. Both of those clerks right now are on a 9-month appointment, and the specialists that they support are on a 10-month contract. So that just aligns those teams up together so that they have the same yearly work schedule. There is a request for Aspire, our online school, to reclassify a clerk to a specialist, moving from a range 20 to a range 24, to be more in line with the work that that staff member is completing now. We have a curriculum instruction assessment specialist, one of them out of many that for some reason has a 9-month contract as opposed to a 10-month contract. Now, we do use the approved addenda process in order to allow that individual the same amount of work days that their cohorts, their colleagues have, but instead of having to do the extra paperwork of submitting an addenda, it actually is a savings in time and money to change this contract to 10 months because then payroll and finance are not processing those additional addenda. We've already talked about, you approved in the salary schedule, moving deans to APs. We talked about the grant counselors. There is a request, the last request on the list was to reclassify an academic liaison to a federal program specialist. And the reason for this is that would be moving from a 17 to a 25, but it is completely grant funded, so that one is also not M&O. And actually, I don't have the reason on the list, but if you have any questions, we will answer those for you or provide them on June 9th. There was a request for one position that was, we are moving forward with as well. This is also not an M&O funded position, so you're not going to see it represented in that $35,000. And that is a CIA CTE 0.6 FTE. That's a lot of alphabets. This is a limited FTE for 1 year, specifically for the development of middle school and early CTE programs. This would be funded out of grant funds as well, so it's not an increase to the district, but since it would be an increase to the FTE, we did want to make sure that we mentioned that here as well. Non-staffing changes. Our state retirement has decreased yet again, which is good. It's moving from 12% to 11.98%. And the alternative contribution rate is also decreasing from 9.75 to 9.45. We are projecting no changes in our utility budgets. The good news is that we have a very robust utility management program. I mentioned in the board update on Friday, if you read it, all of our schools have once again earned the Energy Star rating, every single one of them. And that has been many, many years in a row, and that was thanks to my predecessor, Jim Migliorino. We have probably one of the best utility management programs in the state. That's the good news. The bad news is that there will be an APS rate increase next year. We probably won't see any of those bills until December or January. But because of what we've been able to save through our utility management program, we are not projecting an increase to our utilities in fiscal year 27. We are going to request an increase to the Transportation Department discretionary budget. A lot of their increase to budget is student support services, specialized transportation, and contracted charter transportation due to not having drivers. There's a slight decrease to school discretionary budgets, but again, that is specifically related to the decrease in enrollment There's been no change to the formula for developing the school discretionary budgets. We have an increase to property liability and workers' compensation insurance. And we continue to maintain $4.5 million of our district additional assistance in M&O. So this is what this looks like. This is a little different than the way you've seen it in the past. That the left two columns are directly from the fiscal year 26 adopted budget book. And the middle column is the fiscal year 27 projected, and with that right column being the variance. And so we are expecting just a little over 11 million in increased budget capacity in fiscal year 27. And here's what some of those change in expenses look like that we've talked about on the previous pages. We've got that 1 day being added back into the contract, 2% salary increase for all staff, health insurance increase, workers' comp increase, liability insurance increase. And if you're comparing Gold Book to Gold Book, sorry, I've been around a long time, it's hard for me. I'm the one who changed it to Budget Book, and sometimes I forget to change the title. You may see that the increase to workers' compensation and our liability is greater than expected. And we took this opportunity. We've been doing a lot of reconciliation between that budget book, and it is over a 60-page Excel workbook. And it's very heavy in formulas, and it's actually pretty amazing if you know all the formulas that go into it. But even though I am probably the second most expert in the budget book compared to our former director of finance who was here for decades and completed it, over the last couple of years, it looked like perhaps some of the formulas had been broken, and we found some hidden cells here and there, and so it's been a bear to reconcile. And so that workers' comp and the liability insurance are more of an increase for the budget than what we've actually been paying over the last couple of years. We've got the request for $500,000 in transportation, $300,000 for those counselors/social workers for the school safety grant, the $200,000 for the dean to AP. Not previously mentioned, but AIA dues continue to increase. We've actually been paying more each year for the past couple of years than what we had in the budget. Classified staffing changes, it balances out to only 5.0 FTE for those behavior techs. We're estimating that at just under 180,000. And those 12.4 certified staff, due to the decrease in student enrollment, we're projecting at just under 920,000 for a total of 11.2 million. And if we come back to this slide, what you'll see that we've done differently in the past, when we referenced that slide at the very beginning where we took a look at our enrollment and how, except for 25, we have not met our projected enrollment. So if you look at the contingency line, for years, many years, we have had $2 million as our contingency. If you remember our budget revision from our first meeting in May, our budget limit decreased $5.5 million from adoption, and the only thing that saved us was one-time funding. And so we had $512,000, even with these additional expenses, that was not obligated for expenses into fiscal year 27. And so I'm moving them into contingency until we know better what our enrollment's actually going to be next year. And that's the plan moving forward until we get those solid numbers and until December 15th, which is the time that we have approved with NST to look at where the budget sits and whether or not we have additional funding based on what we've adopted. And if at that time what we would look at is additional salary increases or something to that effect, but that would go through our negotiated process. Now, moving into the tax rate, tax rates won't actually be final till the third Monday in August when the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors approves them, but we've got some pretty good tools to project them. Our net assessed value did increase 6.7% to just over $4 billion for the district as a whole. The QTR, or the qualifying tax rate, decreased from 3.1212 to 3.0264. That's a good thing for our taxpayers because that typically is the rate that they will pay based on their net assessed value. Homeowners rebate will be included in some examples that we have moving up. And just a reminder, it's been years, but I kept this bullet in here. It's been a long time, but cash is no longer considered in tax rate calculation. Secondary taxed, the assessed valuation change, the assessed valuation is the LPV or limited property value that's used for the primary rate as well. That changed many years ago. Prop 117 in 2012 made changes to the assessed valuations, and that's where primary and secondary rates were combined into one net assessed value, NAV, or on the LPV or limited property value side. Existing assessed valuation growth is limited to 5% annually, and that is for existing properties. So that is why the district, because we're developing vacant lands and making those improvements, that the district net assessed value, or LPV, can grow over 6%, whereas an individual's property would not grow above 5%. And I think we over that. Projected tax rate changes. So even though we are projecting there will be an increase due to the 15% restoration of the M&O override, whereas last year that M&O override, the tax to local taxpayers was about just a little over 61 cents. It's going to move to a little over 72 cents this year. But due to an aggressive repayment schedule on our bond and debt service, that portion of the secondary rate is going down from 1.29 to highly estimated 1.14. I don't have the debt schedule for 27 yet, so that really is just a guess at this point. But going back to the primary rate, it was at $3.22 this year, and it's decreasing to 3.20. And here's just a representative. This is a new graph to the presentation as well. This is the historical tax rates, and you can see from fiscal year 20 all the way to 27, a steady decrease in the district tax rate. That's highly attributable to the increasing net assessed value and with the development of new single-family homes and new neighborhoods, many coming over the next 10 years, I would expect that we might see some stabilization and then potentially some additional decreases to the tax rate. Here's what that looks like for the average parcel in Deer Valley. The average parcel last year had an estimated net assessed value of $283,000. That 5% increase on that property this year is going to go to $279,000. And so, whereas that individual would have paid $997,000 in Deer Valley specific taxes in 25 for fiscal year 26, we are projecting a little over $1,000 in 26 for our fiscal year 27. Next steps are to approve the budget to be advertised on June 9th, advertise the budget at least 10 days prior to the public hearing, and conduct a public hearing on June 23rd and formally adopt the budget well in advance of the July 15th timeline. And with that, I will take questions.
Who's first? Back.
Just a general question. Since we're moving to Gmail, has there been any conversation about moving from Excel to Sheets, Google Sheets?
Dr. Pack, yes, we've actually already started to make that change, but not for our business office. Front office staff at the schools, business office at district office will maintain a Microsoft Office license, but for teachers who don't use it, use the formulas or things like that heavily like we do, they will be using the Office suite and not the Microsoft Office suite.
But with broken formulas and hidden cells, would it behoove the district to start trying to use Google Sheets or moving to Google Sheets or Parallel or anything? I'm not a spreadsheet person, so.
Dr. Pack, President Carver, members of the board, in my professional opinion, I will try to be nice to Google on their sheets and how it compares to Excel, but it does not. And so Excel far outweighs the performance of a Google Sheet at this time.
And then on the slide 9, the revenue changes, I might have missed it because you were full speed talking and I didn't want to interrupt. The contingency, the $2 million, did I hear you say that depending on how things play out, that could be put to salary?
President Carver, Dr. Pack, members of the board, it's based on what we approved in the salary recommendation a couple of meetings ago. And what that recommendation is that if we receive $1 million more in funding that was not obligated than what we are adopting here, we would come back and renegotiate potential salaries. But yes, but if our enrollment dips farther below what we are projecting, then we would use not the 2 million typically, but anything above the 2 million for that offset for that enrollment decrease.
And then on slide 14, I know I asked this when Mr. Miglierino was sitting there, but I don't remember his answer. Can you please explain the homeowner's rebate?
That is such a good Jim Miglierino question. I am not as familiar with that. I know it's the spreadsheets that I used actually are his spreadsheets, and it's calculated in there. What I can tell you is right here in these, it's calculated at 50%. What I couldn't tell you off the top of my head is who qualifies for it or when. I think it's typically individuals that might be on a fixed income or the elderly where the tax increase or the tax overall could be a burden, but I don't want to speak without knowing for sure, so we can bring that back.
That would be helpful because if it is, as you say, elderly or whatnot, it's a little deceiving because a lot of us are not elderly and a lot of us pay our property taxes and we don't get that rebate. I've never seen a rebate. So it would be nice to have a document like this without the rebate or more explanation on the rebate or how many people get the rebate, because I'd like to know as a taxpayer what it's closer to going to be than what a rebate situation is.
Dr. Pack, when we come back in June, the numbers are there for the tax calculation without the rebate, and so we can show it on this slide both ways.
Thank you.
Anything further for Ms. Mock? Ms. Fisher?
Just before my brain loses, it wasn't the rebate something that occurred, it's not going to be ongoing.
Mrs. Fisher, I couldn't say for sure.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it was something that occurred due to a problem, an error. I'm not sure it's going to be ongoing, but we'll confirm that. Do you, when you're talking about the decline in enrollment, could you provide us a Friday update or something, the cohort movement, high school versus elementary, junior high? Because our high school generally is not declining where our younger grades are. So I would kind of like to know how many seniors versus how many freshmen, you know, what went out, what's coming in. And then the same thing with our elementary schools, because we're more likely to lose them when they're little and have them come back due to sports and other activities, regardless of anything else. So I'd like to kind of see that. Every year since I've been on the board, there's these, what they call the summer gimme reclasses that really just upsets half the entire district. And I've come to accept that it's just something that happens, it occurs, there's not really much we can do about it unless you have a board that's going to say, no, we're going to evaluate and change that. But I'm asking while you look at stuff, maybe we look at reclassing some of our paraprofessionals. I took a look at some areas where within school districts that are broke as heck that pay as well as we do, if not better, to their paras. And I'm not trying to make it super controversial or anything, but I just know that I hear from teachers often that if they didn't have their para support, they could not do what they do. And so while you're looking at all this, I think we need to look at our paraprofessionals. We need to look at, because the reality is SPED is going up. It has slowly gone up steadily over the years, whether that's an increase in diagnoses or too many chemicals due to farming, due whatever the reason is. The reality is, when my oldest was a child, autism was 1 in 10,000. When my son was diagnosed, it was 1 in 499. It's now 1 in 56. And I think that's actually an old statistic. It's probably higher. So I just think that we need to bring more support into the classroom. If we can't pay them better, we can treat them better. And part of that is going to mean we do need the para support. So in that reclass, I'd like to see that. When you talk about mid-year cuts, how much do we have to lose before we have to consider something of that nature? Have you ran numbers to look at what's our break point?
Mrs. Fisher, President Carver, members of the board, I have not, and I probably wouldn't do that until after I know what the final carry forward is. Because if our carry forward were to increase, obviously that could potentially help offset any of that enrollment if we have fewer students than what we expected come the fall.
But even if that offset, even if the carry forward can offset that reduction need, it's only going to do it for a year. And so I just would like to have a better idea, because every year it has gone down every year. I run the numbers every year. I've watched the high schools are kind of fairly stable, actually. Our high schools are holding their own, but our elementary is repeatedly losing that enrollment, which it hits us in an overall. Like I said, I hate the reports we look at because of the way that it was so many schools. They're not put into that sections. But I think it's important that we start really looking at that and seeing what we can do to plan for those adjustments. Freshman versus senior. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to have more questions for you later, but I want to look at numbers first. That's it for now. If I could get those, that would be helpful.
Anything further from Ms. Mock? No. Thank you, Ms. Mock. We appreciate your time tonight. Move on to call to the public. Public comment, Dr. Peck.
The board invites public comment on the district's business in general and on any agenda item in specific. All speakers must observe the rules of decorum. Speakers must fill out a card listing name, address, and topic and hand it to the board secretary prior to the president calling the meeting to order. Speakers must make their comments in no more than 3 minutes. If necessary, to accommodate all speakers within the 30-minute overall limit, the board president may shorten each speaker's time. Constructive criticism is in order. Rudeness, vulgarity, disruptive conduct, or remarks disrespecting personal dignity are not in order and will not be allowed. Under the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the governing board cannot discuss or act on any items not listed on the agenda. Board members may respond to criticism made by a speaker, ask staff to review a matter, or ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. If I could please have Kendra Ament, Darcy Tweedy, and Christy Cooper approach the microphone and state your name before you speak.
I can talk really loud.
My name is Kendra Emmett. Good evening, board members. I'd like to address the board and community this evening to express my utter disappointment with Deer Valley School District. I have been a parent and volunteer in this district for almost 20 years, from being a room parent to planning parties, attending almost every field trip, helping office staff, participating on committees, collecting supplies for teachers, and helping set up their classrooms. I have a fingerprint card on file in this very building. For the last several years, while consistently attending board meetings, I have made multiple requests to the board asking that the seating arrangement and speaker's podium be returned to the pre-COVID configuration. On May 5th, to my complete shock, I received a formal letter from Tony Galletti stating I created a safety risk and that continued non-compliance would result in further action, including restricting access to district property. This response is because I moved a chair, a single chair, so that I could clearly view the screens and my elected representatives. I have done this at every single meeting for the last 3 years with no issues, but that one time. I have never been disrespectful, disruptive, or caused a scene. It's beyond disturbing that this district would threaten and trespass a member of this community for simply wanting to be involved and informed on where my taxpayer dollars go. What has this district become? While the board president pleads for community involvement, the recently resigned superintendent frivolously wasted precious dollars and time contacting district lawyers to prepare this letter and send to someone, me, who has made every attempt to be involved and a contributing member. What a shame. I'd like to remind the board, you are elected to represent the community, not the superintendent, not the district. I request again that the board reconfigure the boardroom to pre-COVID seating arrangements and bring the podium back for the speakers. Mr. Carver, I believe, Mr. Carver, I believe that request was made and you supported that in your first campaign. Thank you.
My name's Darcy Tweedy, and I just wanted to express I mustered the courage to come to this meeting and sit with the two intimidating people who received the letter about safety concerns. And I was able to sit here without incident or feeling threatened all meeting. I'm completely shocked at the arrangement of this board. I don't understand while you guys feel the need to protect yourselves, when the teachers stand in front of classes every day after school shootings, priests and preachers stand in front of their congregation after church shootings, and we have to all be back here, and you're even protecting yourself from your cabinet now? And this is outrageous. You need to go back to the original seating arrangement. And then I just wanted to ask a quick question. I was watching the presentation today, and it said the total number of increases and decrease to certified staff and classified staff, but I didn't see the total number of increase or decrease to administrative staff. So could you make that number public just so we could all see it? I wasn't sure if administrative positions declined with student enrollment too, or if it was just certified staff. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Christy Cooper. I listened to the board meeting where numerous teachers spoke out about not feeling valued by their compensation, job demands, or time to prepare for their lessons. Many were concerned about not being able to provide for their families with wages failing to keep up with inflation. Although the consensus on the board was that there wasn't enough money for more pay, several board members requested that the district look for ways to give teachers more time and reduce the stress of the job. As opposed to receiving this message, many employees received emails from their principal letting them know that next year they will be observed 2 times to prepare for a potential RIF. The extra observation will be done so teachers can be RIFed by performance levels and not seniority. How is this supposed to take pressure off teachers or give them more time? Is this a ploy to get rid of the most experienced teachers to save money? If this was a consideration, why wasn't a change in the evaluation system and the potential for RIFs discussed at a board meeting? Why are none of the board members I've asked aware of this? According to the district, we are experiencing explosive growth, so much so that the public should spend over $100 million building new schools. Why would a RIF be necessary in the middle of an explosive growth with over 200 employees retiring or leaving each year? I'm requesting that this be discussed at the next board meeting and my questions be answered. Many employees want the answers to these questions as well. Putting it in a Friday update that the public does not have access to is an unacceptable way to address public concerns. Thank you.
Anything further, Dr. Pack? Is that it? Okay. Move on to governing board reports. Dr. Pack, you're up first.
So one of the joys of being a board member, besides visiting classrooms and trying to help teachers have time to prepare and hopefully get paid more someday, is going to the graduations. And so I did attend, along with other board members, the 5 high school graduations, and it actually worked out very well being at State Farm Stadium. It was a very long day for us, but it was great to see all the graduates. And I don't know if other board members had seen students they taught, but it was such a joy for me to see not 1, not 2, but 5 students that I taught in kindergarten walking across the stage as graduating seniors. I was so extra proud of them, proud of all the graduates. I also attended 2 8th grade promotions, and I'm equally proud of them, the Diamond Canyon and Gavilan Peak promotions. I also wanted to show my appreciation for the superintendent evaluation and cabinet considering proficiency in the data now, not just growth, because I had asked for that, and several community members asked for that, so I see that that's been listened to. So proficiency data is just as important as growth data. So thank you for that. But I also would like the goals, our academic goals, to be higher, to get our reading scores up, and get higher goals. We always want to improve more. I also want to put a bug in everybody's ear again, the thought of having all certified staff be put on a sub-rotation that would relieve pressure on the campuses for subs, which would trickle down to teachers and give them time so they don't have to get pulled for subs. I think it's a great way to get certified staff who, once we're in the classroom, connected and not just stepping in to help here and there, but connected. If it's an expected thing, it's part of the culture. Certainly when my administrator walks in and jumps in and helps me with something, I appreciate it. If the certified staff were on a sub-rotation, just as a given, it would be the norm, and I think that would be great for our district. Fun fact, when I was reviewing vouchers, the district spent $24,000 on 55-gallon trash bags. And I just say that as a reminder that we are a very big district, and it sounds like a lot of money, but when you start thinking about trash, you don't want trash on campuses, and so things like can soap and trash cost money. I did more of a general question for our board, and sort of a newbie question. I saw a voucher where we signed for an audit for $14,000. I assume we had to do that in our books to the state. It's probably a routine budget, not sure, a routine audit. But I'm wondering if, so maybe an explanation of that. I meant to submit it in a question and I slipped my mind. But I'm wondering, as a board, when we eventually down the road have a new superintendent, is it practice, or should it be, or maybe I think it should be, having an audit, whatever audit you call that, forensic or whatever audit is called, for starting with a clean slate with a new superintendent. Not that there's anything nefarious with the previous one, but if you have an audit where you start and it's been checked, double checked, and good to go going forward, I think, is that an audit that happens? No. When you have a new superintendent, you don't start with, it's the same accounting books, but not.
If the board doesn't mind, I'll just answer it. It's an audit generally looks at our finances and it has a set amount. What you're talking about would be a forensic audit. The only time you do that is when there's a known fraud or a perceived fraud, and we don't really have a reason.
Okay.
there may be issues with Dr. Finch and some things for some of us, but I don't believe fraud is one of them. And I would rely on our finance team to report that if they found it.
Okay.
But it's just not.
Since they're apparently really expensive, I didn't want to do one,
They're
but I
very
didn't know what the
expensive.
procedure was
They're
for that.
extremely expensive.
Okay, and then on the last thing, I'm just pleading, find prep time for teachers, because while we know there wasn't any more money to give more of a raise, I personally I'm going to have a hard time just doing 2% next year if there's not time found for teachers. If it's one of those Fridays or those PLC days or that January day back or having Zoom training or something somewhere to find more time for teachers, because the more time teachers have, the better they can be at their craft. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Pack. Mr. Bodfield.
This is another session of the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, I want to say thank you to all of you who asked me about my COVID problem. Let me put it to you this way. If there's somebody you don't like, I'll kiss them for you. They'll be dead in a week. The good. We ate at Avenue 27 at the last dinner. It was delicious. Deer Valley High School had a Broadway dance. It was terrific. The graduations I missed. They were great, I was told. Let me go with the bad. We're about to have a criminal explosion in this state. Let me explain what I mean. We're the 14th largest state. Our average teacher starting salary is 39th, and our budget for education ranks 49th. 49th. What does that mean? High school dropouts are 3.5 times more likely than high school graduates to be arrested, and more than 8 times likely to be incarcerated. Across the country, up to 68%, between 42 and 68%, depending on the prison, inmates have not received a high school diploma. According to researchers, 10 percentage point increases in graduation rates have historically been shown to reduce murder and assault rates by approximately 20%. Increasing graduation rates by 10 percentage points would prevent over 3,000 murders and nearly 175,000 aggravated assaults in America every year. So, why don't we spend more money on teachers, education? We're going to have a criminal problem, and it's growing every day. And on that, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Bodfield. Ms. Simichek.
Thank you. I also had the opportunity to attend the graduations. It was very wonderful watching those students graduate, so many students, as well as participating in the 8th grade promotions. We had 299 students from Desert Sky. That was held at Deer Valley High School on their football field. It was a wonderful evening, as well as I got to go see Norterra Canyon, which they held at Barry Goldwater, a school that's very close to my heart. And what else? Not a whole lot more to share. I do want to second what we've continued to probably bring up at each of the board report sessions, is just to really talk about and continue to have the conversations about how we can help our teachers with their time. We have asked for, additional. We have the 2%, which I'm happy for. I do think we could have done much better. I want to make it clear that's why I voted the way that I did, and I think that we can do better. I think we need to find ways to do better and think outside the box, and I think that the teachers have really helped us in bringing those ideas to the table. people. And I would like to see more of us working together with administration and what the teachers are requesting, because if we don't have teachers, we don't have anything in this district. In addition, I know all of us up here have received a lot of emails regarding the boundary change that continues, parents speaking out. I'm hearing things from community members that have not been brought to my attention as a board member. And again, you know, with open meeting law, not knowing what can and can be discussed. I'm curious of where those are coming from. I'm sure that some came from that last meeting with the community that I was not in attendance for, but I still, as a board member, it's extremely frustrating to be hearing things from members that we as a board have not discussed, whether that's an upcoming vote or, you know, I'm gonna ask again, when is the session to be able to have this open discussion with our community? Because a lot of us up here have asked for that over and over, and we want to participate in that, and we're waiting for that opportunity. And I think we owe it to our community that we set that time and do it differently. It seems as though we're kind of going down the exact same path. And since we already know the outcome of that, I don't know why we're doing that still. I don't know why we're not, instead of saying, well, this is how we always do it. Well, it's not working. And so we need to take some time and take a step back and do something different. And I think that's what that conversation with our community would be about, and how we can implement that. So I really would love to have that conversation. I don't know when it's happening. Obviously, we just get the agenda the week before, a few days before, but I really would like to get that on the calendar and understand, so that we can all start collaborating together and just be able to answer the concerns of that the community and the emails from the parents. And it's not just coming from Union Park now, it's coming from some of the too, including Sonoran Foothills and Sunset Ridge. So please, I'm begging at this point for that conversation. That's about it. Thank you.
Mrs. Fisher.
I too attended the graduations. I attended the tiniest of the junior high graduations just for health reasons. But as always, our graduations were beautiful. I noticed at least 3 young tribal members in their full regalia. I mean, I know you can't see under the robes, but you can see their boots and stuff. So, and you know what it looks like underneath. It's just really cool to see them honoring their culture. Just kind of thought of Ron Bear and looked for a lot of cowboy boots, and I found several. It's just the things that you do as a board member and you see, and that literally is your payday. Fortunately, we did not have anybody in stilettos. We had nobody fall down. We did have a couple of young men doing flips, which, you know, I remember the one that pretended to pass out and then flipped, and Dr. Weitenheimer was happy to pick up his little thing, and he had to come get it from him. I mean, it was just funny. It just the things that the kids do, and I could think of was, boy, it was nice when I was young and could do a flip. Now I would just break myself and all kinds of things. So our kids are cool. It's just fun to see, and that is our payday. So just so you know how we get paid, because we pay out the rest of the time. I'm really a little bit disturbing with a lot of stuff that I have been seeing as well. I have received a lot of inquiries about boundaries. The level of disrespect towards our community members and our families of, well, it's just these, or it's just that, or we don't hear anything. And I'm sorry, but I've been hearing from different schools than what you mentioned. So obviously we're hearing from more than just one school. You know, Stetson Hills and other schools that I've heard from. I've heard of community members who feel extremely insulted by our administration and by this board. And I'm just really sorry for that. And I too hope that we have a meaningful public conversation with our community, because this is their kids, this is their district. And if we want it to come back, we want our enrollment to stop dropping, then we have to include them and respect them, or it's not going to happen. I'm actually glad that our speaker mentioned the rifts of staff and because I've heard it myself. And we all know that Fisher either has teachers that hate her or love her, one of the two. I'm either hated or not. But when teachers are coming to me to say, hey, what's going on? I'm feeling unstable. I'm feeling, do I need to look? Should I think of moving? I'm X amount to retirement, and I don't want to have to leave. It's not that, things are perfect, but this is still my home. And we need to know what's going on. And I want to make it really clear, no matter how much they tell you that the superintendent decides who gets hired and fired, you have a board of 5, and no one can terminate an employee without a board of 5. And so I asked this board to stand up for our staff. We need to pay attention to what is going on. If it's happening, we need to be aware of what's happening. Our staff should not be made to feel unstable. If there is a struggle that we have to face, then we will face it together. We have in the past, whether it's been minor reductions or things that we've had to do. Riffing is last. That's last ditch effort, and our employees should not be fearful that that's coming for them. No matter what, they should not be feeling that. The other thing that's really big in the community, not because of us, but because of Peoria, and honestly, the concerns come back to us because I've seen it here as well, is mandatory reporting. I am amazed at how many people do not understand mandatory reporting. And I can't help but wonder do we understand mandatory reporting? If you have any inkling that an employee of the district is doing something questionable, you are not to be reporting it to the principal or to the superintendent or HR. You should be reporting it to the police department. If it is serious enough and it is an employee, that is what the mandatory reporting says. And I really would like to have some kind of training out there for the public to see, and to see that we take it seriously, because we don't have a good reputation in that area either. The final request I would like to say, because I've been saying it as well, and it happened prior to COVID, but this room needs to be put back. We are not gods up here on some stage. We're not Moses or Noah or anything else. We are elected officials. All of us put our pants on one leg at a time. We all go to the bathroom. We all sneeze. And we are supposed to have the people we're serving right in front of us. And they're supposed to be able to address us because it's the United States of America, and they're supposed to. So I would love to see it put back. I've been saying it for years, and it did start prior to COVID. And there's never been a threat, so I don't even understand. As much as we like our officer, we used to only have an officer when we expected something was going to happen, and now we have it all the time. Like if we're in, I don't know, criminal zone or something. Anyways, that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. I was able to attend the TPP graduation. For those of you in the community that don't know, Deer Valley is proactive when it comes to trying to make sure that we have enough teachers to field our needs, and we graduated 51 teachers this year out of the TPP program. That started as something specifically for special needs teachers, but now we graduated our first cohort of teachers this year specifically for high schools. So congratulations to all those folks and everybody that's still in the program. As many of my peers, I attended the high school graduations at State Farm Stadium. A lot of folks have asked me what I thought about doing all 5 of them in one day, and really it's not that big of a deal. We did pretty good. Some of our larger classes only took an hour and 15 minutes or so to get through, so everybody's kind of got it down to a science, and the way that they divided up the parking lot and everything seemed to really work out well. So congratulations to everybody that had a hand in making that come off without a hitch. From what I understand, that's our only option moving forward, whether we use State Farm Stadium or Gila River Casino next door, is to have all 5 in one day. So I was able to attend 4 of our 8th grade graduations, starting at Vista Peak over here across the street, and then the other 3 over at Mountain Ridge with Terramar, West Wing, and Hillcrest. It was brought to my attention that when I ran for the board the first time, I mentioned in several interviews, and I believe even from the microphone during public comment, that we needed to pay paras better. And I know last year we didn't give anybody a raise because of the loss of the M&O. We needed to make sure that we could still keep the lights on. districts aren't a zero-based budget concept. We can't spend every dime because we get paid in arrears, right? So Deer Valley does a pretty good job of making sure that we don't end up running short like some other districts have in the county. And to that point, for our classified staff, I understand it. It's frustrating to be at 16, 17 bucks an hour and have minimum wage catch up to you every year, even though you've received a 40% increase over the last 5 years. Well, that's back to 2024. If we go the last 2 years, it's only about a 42% increase over the last 7 years. But, you know, we can thank the electorate for the increase in minimum wage. A lot of folks, I don't think, remember back to their high school days of supply and demand of basic economics. Sure, it's great to vote yourself a raise, but then the cost of everything else goes up. And then the folks that were making 8, 9, 10 bucks an hour more than you a few years ago are now making the same or less. And the school districts can't keep up because, as we mentioned earlier today, we got a 2% inflationary increase to our budget. I don't know how we can give a 10% raise when we're only getting a 2% increase to our budget. We went down the extensive list of all the different things that the district does to try to compensate for not being able to increase wages at the rate that everybody would like to see, whether it's an offset in insurance benefits and on down the line. So I get it. Nobody makes what it is that they want to make. But to say that the district isn't doing anything is a little bit disingenuous. And when it comes to RIFs, I've got some friends that are teachers as well, like most of the folks on the board, and some of them have received RIFs. What I know of the RIFs is that the folks that have received the RIFs are from schools that have declining enrollment that would have benefited from, as many of my peers up here on the dais mentioned, the board isn't doing anything. You're right, the board had an opportunity to do something and chose not to when it came to boundaries. So here we are now experiencing RIFs. We knew that that was a potential hazard by not moving on it. And I'll just remind everybody that everybody's upset at the process. And I asked everybody, if we didn't follow the process, point out what we didn't follow so that we can scrap it and do it over. Nobody has yet to point out what we didn't follow with the process. So then I said, if the process needs changed, come up with a change, come up with a policy change so that we can change the policy moving forward so that we can be better. Nobody doesn't want to include the community. Like it was also pointed out to me that I talked a lot about transparency when I ran the first time around. I can't think of a single time that I've not tried to facilitate better transparency. Just because somebody doesn't get what they want doesn't mean that we weren't transparent. Doesn't mean that an opportunity wasn't made to try to make things better. So I would just ask everybody to look for a second and ask yourself, is everybody really as corrupt and as terrible as you think they are just because you're not getting what you want? Or are we being just a little bit selfish about everything and not understanding that there's 4,000 employees, 32,000 students depending on the year, 367 square miles, and a lot more people at stake than just the person that might have an individual issue with what's going on. And with that, I'll give it to you, Dr. Finch.
Thank you. President Carver. Award ceremony happened before this event. Make sure you rewind the tape and watch that. Yes, Deer Valley wins everything, and we won again a bunch in the this spring or this fall series. We're looking forward to all the summer stuff. I was out looking at teams today as they were practicing, so everybody's already gearing up because we're only 10 weeks away from starting school. I hate to break it to you, but it's around the corner. Comes fast. And so pretty fun to watch kids even out there already moving up to the next class. Actually started today, the Taipei Culture Camp, about 300 students plus or minus at Barry Goldwater High School. That camp's been in Phoenix for 30 years. And so this is their 30-year celebration, and the award ceremony is on Friday. If you want to come check it out. It's pretty exciting relationship with that camp because obviously TSMC is a major player in our neighborhood, and now we've been hosting it for the last 5 years. So that relationship has developed over time. We have a lot of other summer learning programs going on. We have, there's gifted camps going on, EL camps, Jumpstart, all kinds of stuff happening during the summer. So I believe on our website, summer 2026 programs. You can learn some more. There might even, I don't know if they're all full or if you got opportunity to jump in on them, you still can before they start. The PLC Summit, the Professional Learning Community Summit, we're a model district nationally, one of 11, and that started today. We're really focusing on our special needs and EL populations for this training, and we obviously host PLC summits for other districts during the year to teach them how to do it. We have free meals during the summer for students in our community, so go to our website if you're interested in need access to that. That's still available for students. Our next board meeting is June 9th, and as in the Friday update, we have a study session on 4:30 on the 9th to go over boundaries, 4:30 to 6:30, so make sure you get an opportunity to be there. The regular board meeting will be at 7. Questions about riffing, a lot of misinformation related to that. Basically, the whole reason why we are setting up the system is because per statute, we can't use seniority, so we have to use another method. So that's why someone mentioned the 2 evaluations. That's to create a better legal protection for the district. You have to at least have one. And so we are setting up all of the systems to protect us in the future. We've never riffed since Dr. Finch has been here, and I don't plan on doing it. I don't think so. It doesn't look like it. Won't be doing it next year because we've been able to manage our dollars well. We've been able to basically rearrange every year through attrition. So that's our strategy going forward. So I don't project any for next year either. But we want to set up the system correctly for protect ourselves legally. So that's why you're seeing the talk around RIFs. And I believe I talked about a couple times in the Friday update about it. So that's the reason behind it. We don't have any more awards this in June and July, but Brian Kilgore is heading out. His wife has moved to Washington and got a job there, so he's going to be moving on. And Miss Brittany Sutton is going to be helping us out in that department. She's here today, probably taking cliff notes. So we want to thank Brian for his service to us. If you saw in The Voice, I hit 817 classrooms this year, the most in my 9 years of attendance. Went over the 5,000 mark during the year. Hope to go over to 6,000 next year. Gives me an opportunity to see stuff in real time and answer problems and solve problems in real time. When you're hit that many classrooms, you get to see what really happens around. In regards to the room, how it's arranged, we received a letter from the FBI right around the COVID time about how we need to be aware about our surroundings. Gave us a whole directive. There was some incidents at school board meetings. That started the process 6, 8, 7 years ago. We met with our police department. They gave us advice, and can't really talk about the different things that we've done here for protect the board members. And so that's why you see the arrangement that it is. That is a recommendation from our local police department and the FBI. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. Sorry, Stephanie, did you have something?
I just want to clarify, because I'm trying to find out when this meeting is.
June 9th, 4:30, 6:30. Study session.
On our board updates that we get, it's not on here.
And it was sent to all the parents through the parent communication.
Okay, I think the board's just looking for a direct message so that they know.
Yeah, 4:30 here in this room right here.
June 9th.
June 9th, right before the board meeting.
Next board.
Yep, Tuesday. Tuesday.
Important things on upcoming events that are on the bottom of the Friday update, because that's how I keep things posted and updated and knowing where I need to be and how. I think it's really important.
We can put it on the bottom of the page if you'd like. Yeah. Yeah, 4:30 to 6:30.
If we don't have awards, why 4:30? Why not 5 to 7?
You'll have
Trying to give
executive
everybody
sessions.
all the time that they need.
You're probably going to have executive sessions related to retention and for students. Will you have them this time of year?
4:30 is rough.
Yep. Well, we wanted to be on the same day so you don't have to take a different day off from work. Was the theory behind it. That's usually how we've done it historically.
Yes.
Just one comment. Historically, we have had the board discuss or had them check with the board what day works best for the board. And then we bring it into the community. We don't have to be stuck with just Tuesday. I think it's
No, you're right, we don't. But everybody on this board, last time we discussed, at least half of you said, I can't come in on a different day. I don't want to do Saturday.
No, I've not heard that. I've
Okay.
not heard that. The only person, the last one that said that they won't come on a Saturday is no longer on the board. So that's not relevant. I just think that we need to have a better idea so that we can have a meaningful conversation. And we also need to find out what's a little bit better for our community. The whole point of us having a study session with our community is that we can get their input and they can hear the discussions. And if you set it at a time where our community can't even be here, so I'm just a little concerned that it's for show, not for meaning. And so I would ask that we actually take a look at what would be the best time for our community, and then also what board members, I don't know what the legislature.
I'm just going to be a little ornery with you for just a minute, Mrs. Fisher, because everybody's been making this request nonstop, and everybody knows the policy. 2 people make a request, we get 60 days to work it in. At no point in time with everybody's requested, they ever say, I'd really like to see it on this date. I get a whole lot of people saying we need to do this at the next meeting when they have wants and wishes, but nobody, this is such an important matter, but again, I'm going to go back to nobody's brought a policy change. Nobody's given a date. Everybody wants things, but nobody's given specifics. And then when we give it out there, everybody's like, oh, well, that doesn't work for me.
Mr. Carver.
Okay, it doesn't work for you. Good.
There's a lot of people who have been board president. We've managed to collaborate with each other and with the community without throwing a tantrum or changing.
Actually, you guys cannot discuss this legally.
The tantrum will be 10 minutes
I said
after the
right
meeting
here,
out
You
in
cannot.
the parking lot.
It's not on the
Facebook.
agenda.
Anyway, is there a motion to
We can
adjourn,
discuss
or are we
making
just
a
going to do this for a
So
while?
moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it.
Oh,
All those in favor?
Heil.
Did we have 3? I'm sorry, I didn't notice. I don't know. Steve and I said yes, but Stephanie, did you want to stay for a while?
It's fine. I'm just asking for, like, when something is scheduled to get, like.
Yep, that was noted. I apologize, that wasn't on there. So for whatever it's worth, when I found it was on the 9th. Okay, nobody wants to talk about it. That's cool. Adjourned. See you guys.